are successfully making it through this chapter of our lives called What Rights Will They Take Away Next? I figured that before I sit down and do more, contemplation about the joys of having no rights, I would tell you a bit about the Sydney Grace brushes that I bought. Now, my morning so far has been get up, fight with rosé, feed rosé, have some breakfast, like bagel thins and some coffee, and then work out. And now I'm doing this video. I'm also, in full transparency, having some lemonade. It's a special kind of lemonade. Yeah. So, let me tell you a bit about these Sydney Grace brushes. I was actually really excited that these brushes were coming out. To me, it makes total sense. They have single eyeshadows and eyeshadow palettes. I think they also have highlighters, and I know that they also have lip gloss. I believe it's lip gloss. It might also be liquid lipsticks. But this seems kind of on par for a brand that is kind of known for their eyeshadows to have some eyeshadow brushes. These are synthetic brushes, so the brushes have synthetic hairs. I figured I would compare them to another batch of synthetic brushes I have, and these are from BK Beauty. I've had these for quite a while, and I really like them. So I tend to kind of go back and forth between synthetic hair brushes and natural hair brushes. So yeah. Now, I didn't buy the face set of the brushes. I feel like I just have so many face brushes. I also have so many eye brushes, but somehow I was able to justify the eye brushes to myself. I don't remember how, but I did, and so I bought it, and here we are. Now, there are 9 brushes that come in this set if you purchase if you purchase a set, and it is $55. Now, when they released, there was a 30% discount, so that's when I purchased it. I don't what's 55 times 30%, and then you minus that, and that's how much I paid. I find these brushes to be really pretty. There's this rose gold ferrule. Is it rose gold? It looked like it. Yeah. And then the handles are walnut is what they say. So it gives a lightness to it. Is walnut a light wood as opposed to what? Cedar? Is that light? I don't know. What is interesting, these are the only brushes I believe that I have that have this sort of pointed end here. I think I was watching Not Fit for Print Beauty. Was that who I was watching? I was watching somebody. They were demonstrating how it could be a weapon, if you really needed to. I like when things, I can use them for different things. Is this the first lemonade I've had? Because I am on one. Okay. I mean, I don't think they're lethal, but you could do some damage, I am looking over here in my notes. Now, they do feel lightweight, which I imagine is because of the walnuts. But they don't feel cheap. I'm trying to see if there's, the BK Beauty brush, this one is 201. It does have a bit more weight to it. These are just super lightweight. Very, very lightweight. And the brand name is written in script or cursive on the brush itself. There are no numbers or names of the brushes on the brush. They are only, or it only has the brand name. And that is interesting because a lot of other brushes, the BK Beauty ones, Sonia G ones, Refer, what's his name? Wayne Goss, and that Ashy palette he just came out with, and even Sigma, they tend to have the brand name, but also the type of brush, if it's a blending brush or contour or whatever it is, along with maybe a number. So Sydney Grace does not have that. They did come packaged in like your general brush, like in this little plasticky thing, and these have not only the name on the sticker but also the brush number. So these are the SG Sydney Grace EI brushes. I assume that the face ones are like SGF. I have already washed these and they are dried. I feel like they have held up pretty well. So this is just one quick wash. I do find that they seem to clean pretty well, or clean off pretty well, even while doing my makeup. If I would wipe the brush off on a towel or something, it felt like it got most of the product off. And then washing them, I just used my Anissa Beauty brush shampoo, did a bit of swirling in my hand and rinsing out each individually and sort of reshaping, and they're fine. So this is like an overnight dry. So far, I haven't really experienced any brush hairs falling out. Now, they are said to be antibacterial, and the synthetic fibers mimic wool. I can't tell you if that's true or not. I have never used wool to put on my eyeshadow, so I don't know. Now, since there are no, like, I mean, you can use your brushes however you want to. I think I've said that on numerous occasions. I do kind of appreciate sometimes, though, when there is an indicator of how you might use a brush. So if this were to say like liner or flat liner or definer or something like that, that can be kind of helpful. With the Sydney Grace ones, I think it's more of just use whatever seems to fit with what, just use what you want. So there are a couple of blending brushes. I would say they are these ones here. This is a like contour brush. I've seen a couple of people use it to contour their nose. I don't contour my nose, so I'm not going to use it in that way, but I have seen people use it. And then there are some blending brushes of different shapes and sizes. And then we've got some other brushes that I would typically use for, this one I'd probably use for packing on eyeshadow. Same with this one, even probably with some creams. This is one that I would use for defining the lash line, and this seems like a good one for placing into the inner corner to do like an inner corner highlight. And then this last brush here is one I would presumably, like going into it, I would think I would use this as a brush to do a winged liner. I believe that they have indicated that you can use this as a brow brush, but I find that this is a little thicker than I would want for a brow brush. The one that I have is from Sephora, and it's just much smaller. Wait, sorry, too many brushes. It's just a bit smaller. So this is not one that I would personally use for doing my brows, but maybe you will. I don't know, to you, right? So I am going to go ahead, let me make sure I gave you all the info. Here's the thing, so you know that I'm a therapist, and my like area of expertise is trauma, specifically like sexual trauma. And so this whole Supreme Court decision, like, it's just hitting me hard. Thinking like not even just personally, because girl, that's the journey itself, but thinking just like, oh, So, okay, let's go ahead and do an eye look. Let me grab some eye primer. The past couple of days, I've actually been using my Pat McGrath eye primer. It's somewhere. But I am going to pick up the Sigma primer stick. This is one that I've used for years, honestly. Just gonna pat some of that on. And I'm going to do my best to kind of use the brushes as I normally would. I do recognize that sometimes you do have to adjust things depending upon whatever product you're using, but these are brushes. I'm kind of thinking I should be able to use them as I regularly do. Before jumping into those, I'm just grabbing this brush here that I will use to blend out the primer. So before we get started, in comparison to the Sydney Grace brushes, the BK Beauty brushes, BK Beauty has like 2 eye brush sets. Now I have all of the BK Beauty brushes, the eye and the face set. I don't have the entire Angie Hot and Flashy collection. All of the other brushes though, I do have. I even have like backups of some, or you know, I love their brushes. Now these brushes are also synthetic, as I mentioned before. They indicate that there's a vegan fiber that they use. I don't know how you do that, but okay. And they state that because of this vegan fiber, it's more consistent in terms of the brush fibers and you will have less breakage. And I promise I'm looking at notes, y'all. I'm not like falling out. Now, the BK Beauty brushes, there are 2 eye sets. There is the eye set for hooded eyes, as they call it on their website. And then there's the eye set that's the essentials. They are more expensive than the Sydney Grace ones. Like I mentioned, the Sydney Grace brushes are $55, and then there was a 30% discount. Now, the prices for the brush sets, the brush set for hooded or smaller eyes, as they advertise it, comes with 5 brushes and it is $75. And then the essentials set also comes with $5, 5 brushes, and it is $80. So $20 to $25 more expensive than the Sydney Grace eye brush set. Basically, I bought one of the sets. Maybe I bought the essentials and then I went back to see which ones were not in that set and purchased those to make sure that I had all of them. So in the essentials, you get the 201 brush, which is the blended crease. That is this one here. You also get 202, which is the defined crease. You get 203, which is the shader. This one, where is it? There it is. 203 is the shader. You also get 204, which is the smudge brush. I think it's this one. And then you get 205, which is the contoured brush. So that is the essentials set, meaning that you don't get brushes 206, 207, nor 208. Now for the hooded eye brush set, you get 202, which is this one. You also get 203, this one. You get 204, this one. And then you get 207, which is this one. And 208, which is the little angled brush. So this is the hooded eye set. So basically you don't get 201, 205, or 206. So, I mean, to me, it's kind of confusing. I think that's why I just bought all of them. I'll find any reason to buy everything. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a look. My experience so far has been pretty okay with the Sydney Grace brushes. I will say they're firmer than I imagined they were going to be, and I do notice some difficulty, especially with this one here. It's like a shader brush, in picking up shimmers. I noticed that with my Sydney Grace singles. I noticed it with every eyeshadow palette I was using. If I were to rub my finger into the shade and then put it onto my eye and then go in with the brush, that seemed fine, but I know a lot of people don't like doing that. Let me see if I can show you. Oh, it's actually picking up pretty well. So there is that. I am using the shade Devotion. Don't you hate when you're like, it don't work, and then you're trying to show somebody and it's working? So here we are. So here we go. Let me do a little bit closer. Oop. Okay, so this is the shade Devotion in the Enduring Love palette, and this is the dark version of the palette. So patting that on, I think that looks fine. I'm also going to go into Romeo, and I'm using this same brush. Actually, no. Let's try to use as many brushes as possible. So I will go in with this brush here. This is much smaller, so probably great for like detail. I would say it's probably not the first brush I would pick up when doing my makeup. Let me know if you want to see like the brushes, my most used brushes, I guess, or the ones I use for certain things, because I don't know. That might give more context in terms of what I tend to look for. Okay, so we've got that on. Let's see. I'm going to go in with this brush, which I believe is the large shader brush. And I'm going to dip into Juliet, which is this shade here. So as you can see, it picks up pretty well. I think I want to put this here, since I have that primer on, and I also just have like darkness on my lid. I want to lighten this area just a tad. So blends out pretty well, though it does feel denser, stiffer than I would. I don't know what I thought it would be. It's not that the brush hairs are hard or pokey or anything. They're just not as pliable. It's just. All right. Now this is another blender. I can figure this one out. I think it's a bit smaller than that previous shade, and I'm going to go in with Darcy, which is this deeper pink here. There is that. So it's picking up pretty well. And I'm placing that here on the outer corner. I find that these are, like, if you want a precise placement of eyeshadow, these brushes seem really great for that. I don't know that there's one that I've really encountered in this set where it's like, for those of you who like to just do like a wash of color, I find that these are gonna put the eyeshadow exactly where you want it. You can blend it out though, so it's not like it's just going to leave this huge blob of color, but yeah. And I didn't really realize that until I started using them, of course, and kind of thinking of my experience with other eyeshadow brushes. Okay, so we have that. Now, let's see another brush. Somebody remember which ones I'm using. I'm going to use the contour one. I was really excited about this one because I really enjoyed the BK Beauty one. Okay. I think I will go in with Abigail. Yes, this is a shimmer. Go. And I'm going to kind of contour my eye. Just using this very lightly. What I like about this brush is the ability to just contour things, you know? And as I mentioned before, I think I have seen people use this as a tool for their nose contour. That's just not something that I really do. I don't even know that I really learned how to. Now, I'm not going into any new shades. I'm just touching some areas up and using whatever brush it was that I used to do so. Okay, I do want a bit more the Darcy color. Essentially, I'm trying to use every brush. So who knows what this look really is doing. Leave me alone. Okay. We've got 4 more brushes to use. I think what I will do with this one here is to go into, I'm gonna go into Juliet. Oh my gosh, one of my best friends, we've known each other since high school. I was a maid of honor at her wedding. And her name is Juliet. But when we were in Spanish class, like years ago at this point, you know, everyone was trying to have like their name, like what would it be in Spanish? Because, you know, John is Juan and, you know, Michael is Miguel. Anyway, so forever since that class, I call her Julieta. That didn't make any sense. Why did I tell that story? I'll leave it out. So I'm going to take this brush and go into Devotion. This is the very first shimmer that I used. You can see how it picks that up. I think you can see it. And I'm just going to bring that shade a bit further down. Give it a bit more of a highlight there. Okay. Now I'm going to take it. Ooh, girl. Let me drink some before it spills. I'm going to take this brush and go into Elizabeth here. I have an idea. Let's see if I can execute it. So I'm putting that shade across my upper lash line. I'm going to take that same shade, Elizabeth, and mix it with Abigail. This is the deeper shimmer I used a bit ago. And then I am going to take this brush, this angled one, and attempt like just a bit of a line, a wing with the shade Boaz, this black. Okay, so there is that side. Now, okay, so I'm going to try to recreate this on this eye using my BK Beauty brushes. Probably just going to zip through this part, but I will at least kind of try to show you the brush that I'm using. But since I use these all the time, so I kind of know how they work. So let me know if you want something like a dedicated, slowed down, this is how I use my BK Beauty brushes kind of thing, okay? Okay. All right. Okay, y'all. What am I thinking? I'm gonna try to get this out real quick because this lemonade is lemonading. Oh my gosh, it's calling me. Now, in terms of the brushes, that's why we're here, right? First of all, I like both of them. But let's go a little further because I'm not gonna punk out like that. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you figure out which one to get. I would say out of all like the sets between these two, BK Beauty and Sydney Grace, I would go with the BK Beauty set for hooded eyes. That's the one with the the brushes 202, 203, 204, 207, 208. I will say those are ones that I consistently use. Hopefully earlier, I think earlier in the video, I showed you the brushes. Now that one is $75. So not cheap. That, I think it's like $15 a brush if you were to break it down, right? But I will say that I use those brushes consistently. And did I say that right? Consistently. Yeah. I would say that I find that brush set to be like really good for if you want to do detailed work and things like that. Now, if that you don't care about that, you just want to get some eyeshadow on your eye, I would say go with the Sydney Grace ones. Like, the thing about these is that the brush heads are a little bit thicker, and look, we love thickness, right? But if you are someone that wants to do more detailed stuff, you just want to be getting in there into all the crevices and nooks and crannies of your eyelids, then I don't know that these are going to be the best for you in terms of the Sydney Grace brushes. But these are real cute. Like, I like the walnut. I like the like pseudo weapon on the side. Like, you know, somebody come at you and you just like, yeah. I like the rose gold ferrule. Like, there's some density to it, so if you like that, you'll like that. I like the script that Sydney Grace, the name, is written in. I would say that I think it could be helpful, especially if these are geared towards like maybe folks who don't have a ton of brushes, or like you're trying to figure out the whole brush game. I do think it could be helpful to have some sort of indicator of like the type of brush or what you can use the brush for. And I've noticed that as of this moment, at least, there are no like descriptors of the brushes on their website, like in comparison to some of the other brushes or brush sets that I have, where they sort of say this brush can be used for blah 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 blah. There's not much of that on the Sydney Grace website. Now, overall, I'm happy with my BK Beauty brushes. I will find a place for the Sydney Grace brushes, though I don't think they're going to get as much use as my BK ones do. But if you just want like a good, solid, cute, weaponized brush set, I think you can definitely get the Sydney Grace ones for the $55, and make sure to use a coupon code. I know Tina the Fancy Face has one. So I think that is it. Hopefully some of this was helpful. I do hope that you are taking care of yourself and your loved ones and like your pets and people with uteruses. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.